Ladies and gentlemen, Monday is here. Are we ready? Are we ready? Who's got some good vibes for us? Who wants to share something that's going great in their world? And somebody's got to have something. Is my mic on?
I had a really awesome weekend. It was like the perfect fall family weekend. We did all of the typical fall things. We did apples, we did pumpkins, we did carving, we did bonfire with my mom who's visiting from Florida, and then my sister and her boyfriend and my little nephews. So it was amazing, and I just had a very nice weekend. And I'm thankful for that.
That's awesome. The seasons are just phenomenal in New England, aren't they? And all the activities that come along with them.
Yep.
Who else? Who's got something? What's good? What is good? I'll tell you, when I travel to these conferences, it's like a hit or miss on whether there's going to be a gym that is halfway decent to get a good workout. And this place that Tom has us at this week is like it's less than a year old, so everything is like first class. You're not bumping into people, and it's just massive because we're in Texas, so everything is big in Texas. So the gym is massive. It could probably hold 40 people. And got a great workout in, and they've got a smoothie shack, so I can get my protein smoothie, which you can't typically get on the road. So I am off to a great start this morning. Meg, did you have something?
Oh, I didn't know I was unmuted. Sorry.
Right. Jeff and Linda.
Hey, good morning, all. This is Jeff. I had a great reconnection. My oldest friend, and you know how life takes you away from people for a while, and sometimes they circle back. Our mothers were pregnant together. That's how old a friend this guy is to me. Just reconnected this week, and I hadn't talked to him in probably just a couple of years. And he's living back up in Illinois, not far from where we used to live. And he calls up. We talked, and it wasn't within about 2 conversations. He said he's looking to buy something. We put him in touch with a new builder, and he's under contract today. So this happened within the period of a week. So fantastic.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And guys, the reason I stress this at the beginning of this call is because this is something that I really struggled with. And I think a lot of type A drivers struggle with, which is just taking a second to smell the roses. You know, I've 45 years old. I've been head down my entire life. I don't think I've taken much time to just smell the roses a little bit. So I love starting this call off with this stuff. I love hearing your shares. So, and there's nothing too silly to share. So, I love my new little habit stack. I'm doing this every day now. So I'm stoked. I hope it changes somebody else to start doing a little bit more gratitude. So, Sue.
I called an agent up this weekend to show her property, and she said it was under agreement. And I said, well, let me know if something changes, because my buyer really likes the property. I kind of said, do you know if there's any other properties on that street that are like this? It's a row house. And she actually said, I believe there's a for sale by owner. So I'm going to do my, look up the property, look up the owner and try to reach out to them. So I thought that was really good communication between agents.
Yeah. Right. The collaboration and moving forward, that's what this industry is going to be about. It's more and more professionals do the right thing, try and help somebody out. You never know when it's going to come back around. And being here at this Tom Ferry conference, I was going to just, it was a long day of travel yesterday for me, and I headed down. There's like a little like a fresh farm to table type of restaurant, and I was just exhausted. I got a workout in, and then I'm like, I'm just going to get to bed early. And I go down there and I see somebody that I literally met in my first probably 12 months. I've been in the Tom Ferry organization for a decade now. 2014, I started. And he's a great brokerage owner in Oregon. And, we started chatting, and then he's like, "Hey, we're doing dinner with these other couple of people, another couple of people that I met within my first couple of years, and just had a great dinner last night." But this organization is where I learned how important that collaboration is, of just sharing of ideas. And when I had my first brokerage and the Century 21 franchises, it was very close-minded, and this is my idea and I'm not going to share it with you, and you're my competitor. And I mean, the reality is, when it comes to this stuff, none of us are reinventing the wheel. Somebody's almost always done whatever you're trying to do before. And when you share it, what I've realized too is most people aren't going to execute on it anyway. So you're not giving away stuff that's going to really be detrimental to your business. So there's not too much that we're putting down patents on in the real estate world. It's it's the same gig over and over. There's different ways to slice it up, but helping and sharing is the only way to go in this industry, because it can be a one it'll bring you down at times. It can be difficult. So I'm grateful for this organization, grateful to be at this conference this week, and excited to hopefully bring some stuff back and share on this call of what we're discussing, learning, and some new stuff coming out for the future. Let's just get into some roundtable stuff. Who's got something going on a deal, or something that you need some help with, something that you learned? Steve.
So I'm looking for some help from all you seasoned vets here. So I had a Zillow call last night. A guy was looking to see a property this Tuesday. I reached out to showing time. It got denied. I spoke to the listing agent, and he's like, "Oh, I want to know all the pre-approval stuff before I waste my time." I'm like, "I gotcha." The buyer said, "I am pre-approved. I want to see the bylaws of the condominium." So again, so I'm not wasting anybody's time. I want to make sure everything's to my liking before I go and even waste anybody's time on a showing. Well, the listing agent's like, "I'm not sending that over." And I'm like, "Well, we don't want to waste your time if something in the bylaws is a deal breaker for them." He answered all my other questions on parking and laundry inside the facility, which was great. I'm like, "Listen, this guy seems pretty motivated. He's pre-approved. He wants to go see it Tuesday. He's pretty motivated, but we just need to see the bylaws." And he just is refusing to send me the bylaws. And I'm like, "Well, I'm playing, matchmaker between these two. This guy wants to see him. This guy's refusing." And so my buyer's kind of getting irritated. He's like, maybe this is why this has been on the market for 50 days, because nobody can get in and see it, because people want to see the bylaws at a condo. So I'm trying to figure out how I can, do I just reach out to the association, or?
Jeff and Linda, you guys were a hand up first. You're muted if you're trying.
Hello, sorry about that. Okay, so here's the trick that I do when the listing agent is not helping out and cooperating. I go back to that community and I seek out, I look for the solds. Look for the sold listings, and then I go back, and when you see where you can put in additional information or a paper clip where previous agents have posted different documents, I go back through, and it never fails. One of those agents has been good and has posted those bylaws, and you can pull them. And you just want to make sure that they're current. And so once you have that, then you can always just call the association and ask if the bylaws you have dated such and so date are the most current that they have on record. But I more times than not, I find those bylaws that are posted from previous closed listings. So give that a go.
That's a great idea. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when it's the bigger complexes, Steve, that's typically going to be the case. If it's a smaller complex, or it's a smaller number of units, or something that's newer, you could run into some more issues with it. Sue, did you have a comment?
Yeah. Most if you have the name of the condo complex and you look them up online, you'll find the condo rules and regulations there. But as far as financials, you'll have to call the condo association for the financials.
Yeah, some of these, Steve, especially the larger ones, they'll have a website and sometimes they'll disclose some of this stuff up front, but definitely not all of them, you know? So there's going to be different approaches for different ones. Has anybody done, Martin, you got another suggestion?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, if it's in mass, just go a bit like the other person said, just go in the documents and go through all the sales within like the last 2 years, and that's how I found a lot of the stuff where the person wasn't. You know, you usually have there's always one or two agents out there that actually do their job and put the documents in there. That's all.
Anybody else have any other suggestions?
You can find the name of the HOA as well, and give them a call. Sometimes they will require small payments, something like that, for a copy of the documents. And sometimes it will take a little bit of time. If you have somebody who is more interested in a property, we can always put it as a term into our additional provisions of our contracts, that our contract is subject to review and acceptance of the condo docs when we get them as well. That way, you know, we don't by chance lose the unit while we're still trying to gather those documents. We have some time afterwards to still review them.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, Steve, I think it's, you know, you can kind of use the line and just say, hey, look, you know, I know you want a copy of these bylaws. I've asked for whatever reason. I don't know if this guy's a part-timer or he just doesn't have a copy, but he's not willing to give them to me. So why don't we just go take a look at the darn thing? And like Lauren's saying, we'll just make it if you end up liking it, we'll make it a provision. And I know this wasn't your initial choice, and it stinks that, you know, but these are the unprofessional, unfortunately, agents that I've got to work with. You know, something along those lines. So it's just like, hey, man, I did everything I could. I tried. I called the association. They won't give it to me because they're not an owner. You know, I tried looking through past sales. Like, I've used all the tricks in the book. Let's just go take a look at it.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I smoothed it over with the buyer and told him, like, hey, I'm doing my end. We'll get that documentation to you. It's just not the easy way, apparently, you know, getting it right from the seller, the listing agent. But then he denied my showing request. He's like, I'm not looking at it until I see the pre-approval. So my buyer's like, listen, I'm walking out the door. He works third shift, second into third shift. And he's like, I'll get a hold of you tomorrow. I'll get you that. He's happy with me because I immediately got on and got all the questions aside from this, you know, the bylaws, but he's happy with me, but he's not too happy. He's almost like at the point where he's like, I don't even want to give this guy any business because he's so, I was taken back. I'm like, he didn't answer my call when I called him back, and I left this listing agent a voicemail. I'm like, hey, listen, I'm like, why don't we, you know, go look at it and see it? Like, he sounds motivated. I'd hate for this to be a deal breaker because I'm like, we need to go see it though. Like, how else is he going to know that he wants to put in an offer?
You definitely want to separate, because you'll get buyers that are like this, and it won't just be for the showings. It could be at the negotiations, putting the deal together. It could be at repair requests, where they're getting really frustrated with the other side, and just said, hey, look, you know, the seller has no idea that this is going on, right? So I don't want to take this out on the seller. You seem to like this condo. I know we've got a difficult listing agent. Let's just put that part aside and make sure, you know, we get you in there, and let's try to put a deal together with this seller, right? So let's not hold the seller hostage because, you know, his agent's not doing his job. And so try and make sure that buyer is separating the two, you know, because unfortunately, there's no way for these sellers to know. When you're trying to schedule showings, you're trying to get information like this, you're trying to just get a hold of somebody. You can't call the seller and say, hey, you got an unresponsive, you know, listing agent, that's representing you. You know, unfortunately, our hands are kind of tied. So just make sure you're separating the two so that the buyer is not getting frustrated with the listing agent when they might really like the property. Lauren.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I just want to share one more thing. it's a fine line between the communication you're having with the list side and what we're sharing back with our clients. All right. Because we don't want to just come off as like naggy or they're doing everything wrong. And I've, seen instances where agents are sharing like screenshots of the conversations and putting all the blame on the other side, where we really need to maintain that level of professionalism when we're communicating with our clients. So we deal with kind of all the BS between the other side, and then need to handle the conversation with our clients in a little bit of a different way. Now, there are some instances where we do need to share a little bit of the information, right? Hey, here's the 5 times I've attempted to reach out and they have not responded. If it gets to a point like that, but just being careful, the way we communicate to our clients is not the same, maybe the way we're communicating to the list side.
Yeah, it's a great point, and that when it's your reputation of, hey, you're getting called out for not doing something. And I think the biggest example of this is, how come you can't get me in? When you're calling the listing agent and they're just super unresponsive, that's when I've gone to sharing, screenshots and stuff of like, look, I called this person on this date, I texted them twice on this date, I called again on this date. Like, they're just, I don't know if they're on vacation and they don't have help, or but I've done everything that I can to try and get you into this property, and as soon as we can, I'll make sure that I do. Bob, you're muted, Bob, if you're trying to go.
There I go. Hey, I've had this happen several times. Sometimes you get an uncooperative listing agent. Sometime what I've done, especially about the condo docs, I mean, that's nothing to share. I've made a call to the broker before and to say, hey, I have this buyer that's really interested in this property, and I don't understand why either the agent's not responding to me, or all I'm simply wanting is condo docs. Sometimes if the broker talks to the agent and says, hey, you really should share these documents. So just making a really nice call to the broker and explaining that, that you'd like to get these because you have a buyer that's really interested. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, it's a great share, Bob. And to double down on that, if you can't get a hold of the broker, you could try an office manager, anybody that you can kind of get to talk to that listing agent. So, once you've exhausted everything, we're not trying to go above a listing agent, because that gets you off on the wrong foot right away, and it could hurt your chances of putting that deal together. So you have to have exhausted everything at that point before you're going to go to office manager or to the broker. But a lot of times, like, you could have an inexperienced agent here that just thinks maybe it's not okay to share it or something, Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah. I'm taking the Lauren approach here. It kind of brings me back to my policing days, where I'm mediating between 2 disgruntled neighbors about tree branches in the property and stuff. So, I'm going to exhaust everything and try to get those, kind of like Jeff and Linda said, and try to find them from past listings. I'll exhaust everything. And I was just taken back. Like, is this a normal thing? Like, the reluctance to get somebody in there, but I'm gonna do everything I can to, obviously, I don't want to be a tattletaling on this guy, even though, he's not being cooperative, but I'm going to do everything I can before, obviously, it gets to that. Cause I don't want to, like you said, get off on a bad foot right out the get. So I'm sure I'll figure it out, but you guys gave me all the tips and tricks I think I need. I think I can get it.
Yeah, I'll share one more. Reach out to leadership. They may have a good relationship with this agent, right? And so they might be able to reach out and be like, hey, Jimmy, like, what's going on? I heard one of our agents is trying to get these docs. Like, is there a reason why you're not sharing them? Right. So if somebody within the brokerage has a good relationship there, they might be able to figure out what's going on and kind of get to the bottom of it and help you out. So, reach out to leadership, sharing who the name of that agent is, obviously not publicly on this call. But in private, that can be another way to get the information. And all of this stuff that we're sharing this morning, guys, is ways to get all different types of pieces of information. You can use this last strategy if you're trying to get your offer accepted. Right. Sometimes a call, from somebody, especially if you're a little bit more inexperienced or you've never done a deal with that agent, and having somebody from our brokerage reach out to say, hey, look, one of our newer agents is trying to put this deal together. I'm actually helping him with this. We've got a really strong buyer, strong pre-approval. Like, these guys aren't going to ask for anything. I'm heavily involved. Like, what do we got to do to get this deal done? And that could help if you don't have the relationship with the agent, but somebody at the brokerage does. Who else anybody else got any other tips, tricks, strategies around this? This is a great share today, Steve. Thank you. All right, who else has got something going on? Something that you learned, something that you're struggling with? Glorious.
A quick question. Something about arm's length, or identity interest in as far as FHA loan. I have a buyer who she was seeking for a pre-approval, and the response from the lender was so the buyer is interested with the house or in the house to buy the house that he's been living for quite some time, close to 8 years. And I think the response from the lender was the buyer might run into that point where instead of downing 3.5%, she might have to down 15%. But then I was trying to look up,
Yeah, let me just try and restate the question. I want to make sure I understand it. You've got a buyer that is trying to buy the property that they've been living in for almost 80 years.
Yes.
Is that okay? So they live in this property now. They're a tenant in the property.
Right.
And now they're trying to buy it. And
Sure,
the lender
yeah.
and the lender is saying that, and they're trying to go FHA, and the lender is saying that they might not be able to put down 3.5%. They might have to put down 15%.
Yes.
Because of the fact that they live in the property.
Right. He's saying, I think it mentioned something about the tenant relationship or something like that.
So are they related to the owner?
Not really.
Well, either they are or they aren't.
No, they're not.
They're not. Can anybody think of why this might not qualify for FHA? You've got somebody living in a property for a long time, and then they turn around and go and try and buy it. I can't think of any reason why that wouldn't be able to go traditional FHA. Jeff and Linda?
I would recommend that you call that lender and ask him to explain rather than trying to guess. Just go straight to the source.
Yeah, I can't think of any reason why you wouldn't be able to, why 15% would be required.
Unless it's, unless it's something that has to do with this particular buyer's specific financial scenario that they are needing extra down payment to make them feel safe in giving him the loan. So, I mean, we could guess all day long, but I think you just put a call into that lender and ask him or her to explain what's happening.
Go straight to the source.
Yeah, and then in Glorious, obviously, I would try and get regardless of what that person says, I would try and get our preferred lender involved over at Semper and see if they could jump in and help out and explain, yeah, we can do this, or no, we can't.
Sure, I'll do that. Out a little bit something that at the very least I didn't expect, but yeah, I will pursue to inquire through the lender. Yeah.
And then make sure you come back and let us know what happened.
Sure.
All right, we got time for one more. Who's got a unique scenario going on? Margareta.
Morning, all. I guess if you guys, some of you remember, I asked about group showings. I want to give a feedback on that. It wasn't very good for me. It's a bit of a fail. I thought there was quite a bit of interest, and it was the first really showings that I allowed. But yet when it came down to it, there's only like one person that showed up for it. So I guess I don't know if what exactly I did wrong with it, or it just was. It was on Saturday at around 1:30, but it didn't seem like it worked very well for me. So I did open it up with 24-hour notice because there's tenants involved on showtime. But like, I guess I'm surprised.
Did you?
Like,
Yeah.
I want to say that it wouldn't work out so well for me.
Did you speak to each individual group, Margaretta, and confirm that they could make that time, or did you just kind of put it on there, on the MLS that this is the only time we were allowing showings?
No, everybody who called me about it, because it was said like call the agent. I said, hey, this is when we're having this group showing, and few said, well, we're going to make it. There was somebody from Boston coming for it. They didn't. Then there was another person who did say that they couldn't make it. They wanted me to do a video, so I knew that wasn't going to happen. But there were a few others that like, okay, and it just nothing happened. Just one person. So I'm not sure what happened. I guess maybe it's the property, maybe it's the value, but I guess group showings are tough. That maybe this market is also different, so it's not the thing that everybody's going to start climbing over it.
I think it's a change in the market, but I definitely think price is a factor here. I do believe if that was priced really well, the investors would have figured out a way to get there. It
is. It's priced very well because it is very well priced property. But so that's why there was quite a bit of interest of get-go. But I don't know why we didn't jump into it so quickly. Like maybe because it was such a beautiful weekend, everybody went leaf peeping. And had bonfires, right?
Investors don't go leaf peeping. They jump on deals when they see them. So I'm telling you, I would be questioning the price because I know the market softened a little bit, but for you to just get one person, I think that means those people looked at it online and decided, hey, this just doesn't make sense for this number. It's not worth my time to, go away from whatever else I'm doing to go see this at this specific time. So let's keep an eye on it and keep reporting back.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, guys. Hopefully you learned a little something this morning. Lots of interaction today, lots of shares of ideas on Steve's topic. So that was great. Go have yourselves an awesome Monday, and we'll be right back here tomorrow morning again. Take care.
Thanks, Steve. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, everyone.